Hey everyone, it's Kat of Kat's Novel Adventures. In today's video, I want to share with you my adventures with rule number 2 of the Tranquility by Tuesday challenge, which is to plan on Fridays. The purpose of this rule is to set aside 20 minutes on Friday afternoons to plan your upcoming week, generally Monday through Sunday. And it really doesn't matter when the planning occurs. It's pretty much your preference. However, Laura has reasons why she thinks Fridays are the best day to plan. Most people are wrapping their work week up on Friday afternoons. They're not really starting anything new. So that's the perfect time to plan for the upcoming week. Another reason is when you walk into work on Monday morning, your plan is in place and you can be a little more productive with your Monday morning instead of planning for the week on Monday morning. Another reason is that your weekends can be pretty much tentatively planned and kind of tweaked or upgraded as you get closer. And then the last reason is that it kind of keeps the Sunday scaries at bay. I know when I had to go to work on Mondays, a lot of times I'd start getting anxious, especially if I started planning what I was going to do for the week on Sunday afternoons. This way, you kind of keep it at bay. You don't have to worry about trying to get in touch with someone that you might have to have a meeting with or order something that you necessarily needed for that next day. So the first step in planning is to assess what commitments you have for the upcoming week and get those on your planner. Then take a look at what you want to do. Now, Laura recommends that you keep like a running list of items that you would like to incorporate in your week around all your other commitments and responsibilities. And she suggests 3 categories: career, relationships, and self. And to add maybe 2 or 3 items in each of those categories to draw from. Now remember, we all have 168 hours in a week. So after you've put your commitments down, look at where you have those extra pockets of time and list the things that you want to do with your time. It's not necessarily what you have to do, just things you want to do. And this is where the list of 100 dreams comes in handy. This is a fun little activity that Laura Vanderkam recommended in her book 168 Hours, and she also recommends it again in Tranquility by Tuesday in this chapter. And I think it's a lot of fun. It's whimsical, and you'll enjoy just coming up with all kinds of things that you want to do with your life. Now, keep in mind, some of them you may never do, but that's the whole point of dreaming, isn't it? And then again, many of the dreams that you put on your list may come true. So it's all worth a shot. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to dream, does it? I fulfilled 7 dreams on my list, and I want to share those with you. The first one is number 9, and it is to take improv classes, and I've done several improv classes. I'm currently in an improv class, and I'm having a ball. I really love it. It's helped me a lot as far as my acting. It has helped me with starting my YouTube channel, and I just really enjoy it. I love spending the time with my improv friends and getting on stage and performing. Another dream was to audition and perform in a musical. That was number 14 on my list, and I got to do that. I auditioned and performed in the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. It was so much fun. I did that back in the fall of 2019. I was Mitch Mahoney, which was I was the comfort counselor for all the poor, spelling bee participants who ended up not spelling correctly and got kicked out of the contest. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I got to sing, I got to dance, and I even had my own monologue. I got to visit New York City. This was number 38 on my list. And my son Andrew and I visited New York City, back in June of 2022, had a blast, and now I want to go back because the trip was way too short. I also wanted to attend more plays, and I did that as well. That's number 49 on my list. I attended The Lion King in New York City. I got to attend Hamilton in New Orleans just recently, and then I've attended quite a few plays at community theater throughout the year. My number 69 was to learn Instagram stories, so I finally learned how to do that. Number 74 was to be part of a book club. Not only am I part of a couple of book clubs, I am also a co-host of my own book club, Chills, Thrills, and Kills with Kelsi. So that has been a lot of fun, and the door has opened to book clubs to me because of being in the BookTube community. And then my last one was number 85, which was to buy a Cricut machine for my scrapbooking. So I have bought it and I have used it a couple of times. I need to use it a lot more. So let's go over the planning questions that Laura sent us on January the 27th. These are the questions that we needed to kind of ponder before we actually implemented the strategy of Plan on Fridays. The first planning question was, what does your planning look like now? Well, to be quite honest, I plan kind of sporadically. There's actually some weeks where I don't plan at all. I just go by whatever's written in my calendar or on my whiteboard calendar that I have on the side of my refrigerator. And that is because I just don't really make the time for it. Generally, when I do plan for a week, I will plan either a Saturday or Sunday, and it's mostly on Sunday afternoons. So rule number 2 is all about creating a designated planning time. So the next 3 planning questions I'm just going to kind of group together. And the first one is, when approximately can you schedule a weekly planning time into your life? If you are planning to use Fridays, when on Friday generally works, and how much time do you think it will take to plan the week? So for me, either Friday or Saturday mornings would work best for me. And I do think it would take me about 30 minutes to plan, possibly even longer than that. The next planning question was, what benefits do you think you would see or do you see from a designated weekly planning time? Well, I've always thought that if you do plan your time, you could be a better steward of your time, that you would be allowed to find more pockets of time that you could do really things that you want to do in addition to the things that you are responsible for doing. The next 2 planning questions I'm going to answer together, and they were, what obstacles might keep you from a regular planning practice, and how can you address these challenges? Well, as far as obstacles, I could see totally forgetting that I set a designated planning time because I end up getting busy with something and get very involved and then just plain forget. And then secondly, it's the obstacles of being interrupted, or my husband getting off work early on a Friday afternoon and wanting to go grocery shopping. And how I would remedy those obstacles is striving to plan more on Friday morning as opposed to Friday afternoon. And if I can't plan during that time, have Saturday, preferably Saturday morning, as my backup. Let's talk about how I did with Plan on Fridays. First of all, I actually planned on Friday, and I used a planning sheet. I dated it, and I used colored pens to write in all my commitments as well as the things that I wanted to do for the week. I broke down what I wanted to do into the 3 categories. For career, I wanted to make a YouTube video that I could release later in the week. And I also wanted to learn how to use StreamYard because my very first readathon was starting on Wednesday, February 1st. So I just thought it would be a lot of fun to have a live event and do some sprints, and it would be my very first ones that I would be doing. So I ended up getting together with Kelsi and we went over what I needed to do and did a little practice run. As far as relationships, I made sure that I put on my buddy read with my sister. We're reading a book together, and we like to meet on Sunday evenings. And then I also wanted to have lunch with my friend Sue, who I hadn't seen in quite a while, so we have that on the calendar as well. As far as self goes, I had one self-care, and that was I wanted to get my eye appointment scheduled and attend that, and also go to my improv class on Thursday evening because that brings me a lot of joy. So that was self-care. I guess both of them actually are self-care if you think about it. I just want to add one little note that I did put my YouTube channel stuff under career because I'm actually not working outside the home right now. I'm taking a break. I consider things that I'm learning or doing as skills that will benefit me when I do end up going back to work. So on Thursday afternoon, Laura sent reflection questions, and I'm going to go ahead and answer those right now. The first question is, how did planning on Friday or your chosen planning day affect your week? I'm going to be honest with you, that week went smoothly because I had my commitments written down and I had everything I wanted to do. It was like just that coupled with time tracking, it kind of helped having everything in place. And I was able to do everything I wanted to do that week. The next two questions I'm going to answer together, and they are, what challenges did you face while implementing this week's strategy? And how did you deal with these challenges? Well, I honestly have to say I did not have any challenges with this strategy at all. The only thing I will say, and I wouldn't say it's a challenge, it's just my personality, it did take me longer than 20 minutes to do the planning. Probably more like 30 to 45 minutes was how much I spent on the planning, and I think a lot of dealing with the colored pens is probably what added to that. So having to come up with something to help with that challenge was not applicable in this case. The next question is, did you need to modify this rule? If so, how? Well, the only thing I had to modify is the way my planning page is set up. Instead of it being Monday through Sunday, it is Sunday through Saturday. So that's the only thing that I modified, was using that planning page and planning it that way, which is fine because even though I'm starting on a Sunday, it really did not make a difference as far as how my planning went for the week. The final question for rule number 2 is, how likely are you to continue to plan on Fridays? I am very likely to do it if I remember to do it. So don't be surprised in the coming weeks if I tell you I didn't plan on Friday because I totally forgot. However, I am gonna strive to plan on Friday mornings, and if I can't on Friday morning, I'm gonna try on Saturday morning because I really did like how smoothly the week went with all my planning in place. As I mentioned in my previous videos for the Tranquility by Tuesday challenge, I'm doing this challenge with my friend Liz over at Retro Betty Reads, and this is what she has to say about planning on Fridays. She says, I'm really digging planning on Fridays because it means having more time right away on the weekend to actually get a couple of things crossed off. It's so much harder during the work week, and so being able to cross off things feels super motivating. And I couldn't agree more, because the more you can get done on the weekends, the more time you have during the week, and the more extra time that you can fit in extra things that you want to do. I also asked her if she attempted to create a list of 100 dreams, and she said she did. And she said it was way harder than she expected it to be. She kept coming up with stuff and then second guessing herself whether it was realistic or not. And I totally understand that. But she was able to come up with at least 78 items so far, and that's great. And I'll be honest with you, it at first is kind of daunting to think of 100 items. You're like, okay, I get to like number 25 or so, and then you're like, okay, what else can I put on there? But the whole point is, it's a list of 100 dreams. It's not a gigantic to-do list. So it's things that you want to do. So why not put some things on there that seem perhaps unrealistic to someone else, but in reality, you might surprise yourself and end up fulfilling some of those dreams. I don't think it's a waste of time, and I don't think you should second guess yourself. I just think do it, and you'll be surprised with some of the items that you come up with. Now, Laura always asks what you're doing with the previous rule from before. So if you remember, rule number 1 was to give yourself a bedtime. And so that was the question that she asked. Did you observe a bedtime this past week? And all I can say is somewhat. So let me just give you the information that I have written down. This is where time tracking is very beneficial. On 5 nights, I was ready for sleep by 11:30. So 4 nights I read before lights out, and 1 night I did watch television. On the other 2 nights, I either scrolled on social media, which was Tuesday, or I worked on a video, which was Thursday. Of course, I had improv on Thursday night, and I did work on a video after I took my shower on Thursday night. Overall, it was better than the previous week because I was reading more prior to going to sleep, so my winding down routine was improving. I'm still kind of trying to tweak my bedtime as far as am I going to bed at 11 or if I'm going to bed at 10:30. And the social media day, I mean, I'm just going to say this in my defense, I did start reading around 10 o'clock, and then I realized this was actually on Tuesday, the 31st of January. I realized at about 10:40 I had not placed my Scholastic book order for January, so I stopped what I was doing and I placed my order. Instead of me going back to reading my book, I instead started playing on social media, scrolling on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So that started off good, and then because I forgot to place my order, ended badly, I guess. Well, I'd like to end our time together by sharing the planning questions for rule number 3 of the challenge. And that rule is move by 3 p.m. So the questions are, on average, how much exercise do you currently do per week? And when do you exercise? And what kind of exercise do you do? Number 2, what sort of physical activity could you do for 10 minutes before 3 p.m. during an average day? Number 3, think about today. When could you do this activity today? Number 4, how about tomorrow? When could you do this activity tomorrow? Number 5, what challenges might keep you from building more physical activity into your life? And number 6, how can you address these challenges? So that's what's on my plate for next week. I have to make sure that I am moving by 3 p.m. Good luck to me, because I haven't really been exercising a whole lot lately. I'll be really honest with you. I am appreciative of you spending your time with me today. If you have any questions about this challenge, or if you have any comments, please leave them below in the comments section. I always love reading your comments and chatting with you. In the meantime, stay amazing and be adventurous. And consider creating your own list of 100 dreams.